Hello everyone. You've probably heard it before, either in person or online. Whoa, bro, he sounds just like a native speaker. Sorry, that was cringe. Usually, this is considered the ultimate compliment. But here's a question for you. Should sounding native be the main goal for language learning? Sometimes we chase this ideal so hard that we lose sight of why we started learning a language in the first place. In this video, let's explore together whether sounding native helps or hurts our progress towards true fluency. First things first, what does sounding native actually mean? Is it about accent, pronunciation, perfect grammar, knowing all the slang, or being culturally savvy enough that you can blend in effortlessly? In reality, it's probably a combination of all these things, and yet even that definition fails to capture the whole concept of nativeness. After all, there's no single native way to speak a language. Think about it. Native speakers themselves vary enormously depending on their region, education level, age, sex, or even social circles. This means that the idea of sounding native is kind of like a moving target. It's pretty vague and subjective. That's one of the reasons why in linguistics we steer away from that concept, because it's pretty hard to define, really. But let's put aside the vagueness of what it means to sound native, and let's have a look at the perks that may come with sounding native in your non-native language. The first aspect we could think about is integration. In certain social or professional contexts, sounding native or having a native-like accent can make interactions smoother. And we could also think about credibility. If you sound native, you will sound sort of more credible, like a more legitimate speaker of a language, and you will sound more competent if your accent matches the listener's expectations. And just a disclaimer, people's expectations are extremely subjective. Then you could have some sort of confidence boost, because for some learners, achieving a native-like accent is incredibly rewarding and helps with building their confidence and pride in their language skills. Finally, it can have a positive impact in your career opportunities. For specific careers such as interpreting, voice acting, language teaching, sounding native can indeed be essential, or at least give you a big advantage. So yes, there are genuine reasons why someone might pursue the goal of sounding native. But let's now have a look at some potential downsides. So the first one that comes to mind for me is pressure and anxiety. Constantly chasing an elusive accent that no one really knows what it sounds like really can create unnecessary stress and anxiety, making the learners, aka us, feel inadequate or frustrated because of how hard it is to reach that goal. The second point is identity loss. I don't personally relate too much with that point, but I know some people do. But that does make sense because your accent is part of who you are, and erasing it entirely can feel like sacrificing a piece of your identity in order to fit other people's expectations. Third point, and this could be an entire video, is native speakerism. Pursuing that goal of sounding native can reinforce the problematic idea that native speakers are inherently superior, leaving millions of perfectly fluent but accented speakers feeling excluded. And the last drawback that many of you might be able to relate to is distraction from real communication. Obsessing over your accent and wanting to sound perfect, whatever that means, can distract you from the real purpose of learning a language, which is to communicate effectively. So, in other words, we could argue that trying to sound native in a sort of obsessive way can actually do more harm than good. The following point I wanted to raise as well in this video is that fluency isn't about sounding native, or at least it doesn't have to be. In my opinion, fluency and sounding native are not the same thing at all. You can be perfectly fluent in a language and still sound non-native. In fact, I would even say that you can sound native and not be perfectly fluent, although that's kind of rarer. To me, fluency, and I know it's a highly debated word in terms of definition, is all about being able to express yourself easily, be understood by others without problems, handle real-life situations, and communicate in a natural way. Basically, you're able to function in the language without, any issues. And to achieve that, you don't have to have a perfect accent. Like, I clearly have a non-native accent when I speak English, and I'm pretty sure that if you're watching this video up to now, you've been able to follow what I've been saying and I'm making sense. Truth is, many people speak multiple languages fluently with strong accents, and are completely understandable and respected for their skills. And by the way, when I say having an accent, I mean a foreign accent, because everyone has an accent. But anyway, I kind of wish communication was more about connecting with others clearly and confidently, without trying to sound identical to them. The last point I wanted to raise in this video is about creating healthier, so to speak, language goals. Because if sounding native isn't the ideal goal, what should we aim for instead? Well, here's a few pointers. So first of all, we could focus on clarity and confidence by focusing on being easily understood, by working on our pronunciation and confidence in expressing ourselves. Because remember, accent and pronunciation are not the same thing. A second thing we could focus on is authenticity by embracing our own accent and cultural backgrounds as part of our language identity. Basically just being okay with not sounding perfect. And that brings me to my third point, which is to prioritize genuine interactions and meaningful conversations over linguistic perfection. And my fourth point is to focus on real-life communication by aiming to comfortably navigate daily situations, whether it is ordering coffee, chatting with friends, or participating in professional discussions. When these become your goals, I feel like fluency feels more achievable, more attainable, and even more rewarding because it doesn't come with as much frustration. So now I would like to hear from you. What are your thoughts about what we talked about today? And maybe a question I would ask you is, do you ever feel pressured to sound native? And where do you think that pressure comes from? Is it from your friends, from, I don't know, the media, outside expectations, or maybe it's something that comes from, within, from yourself? I'd be curious to hear your thoughts. Anyway, so thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And remember that if you're not subscribed to this channel right now, you're dead to me. All right, bye.